Welcome to Men, Sex, and Tantra.
Discover what your parents, porn, and religion never taught you about being a man and having extraordinary sex. I'm Tanya.
And my name is Robert Schwenkler.
And get ready to have your mind blown and your world rocked.
Hey, sexy men. Welcome to today's episode.
Woohoo!
Today, we're going to talk all about your body. How comfortable you feel in it, how sexy you feel in it, how good you feel in it, and the impact that is having on your love life, because one way or another it is.
Absolutely. I love talking about men's bodies.
All right. Well, why don't you share a story about men's bodies?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So having worked with people for, over 30 something years, and maybe even 35 now, about sex and that type of thing. There was once this client that I had who was probably everybody's idea of a 10. She was a model. She was a fitness model. Anyway, so I noticed one day she had a picture of her husband on with her, and I was like, wow, because this guy was big. And when I say big, I'm not being like, oh, he was a husky guy. He was a fat guy. He was probably about 6 foot, probably weighed close to 350 pounds. And I was like, like a lot of people, it's like, okay, what gives here? And I like to ask those really uncomfortable questions that people should never ask. So I said to her, hey, can I ask you about your husband and your sex life and things like that? And she said, sure. And I said, so your man's big. And she goes, you mean fat? And I said, absolutely, yes, that is true. And I've never been one to, be squeamish about the word fat, but some people are. So she goes, yeah. And I said, so what's up with that? You just love him and he got that way? Can you just tell me? And she goes, no, I met him that way. And I said, wow, seriously, you met him and you were just attracted to him? Like I said, I asked those questions. And she goes, no, actually, when I first met him, I met him through a friend and I thought he seemed like a cool guy. But he started making me laugh. And I kept laughing more and more. And then when he said, hey, do you want to go to lunch sometime? He was so cool about it. I'm like, sure. So I went to lunch. He was funny as hell. He was super smart. And the next thing I find myself is going to go have sex with him. Never in a million years, ever did I. All the guys I slept with were ripped. Awesome. I'd never slept with a fat guy before. And so I was like, I don't even know what's going to happen. I'm going to be crushed. What's going to happen here? Okay. She was very candid. It was great. But she said, let me ask you a question. Do you know what that extra fat on the stomach does to a clitoris? Boom. Mic drop. No, I had never thought about that before. And then that led me to asking a few other women that are dating bigger guys. And they're all like, yeah, they just smile. I'm like, all right then. Yeah. So, it's a weird thing in life, but we don't all like the same things.
And so I've worked with a lot of men, especially in the dating field, and there's this myth that what women want is chiseled jawline, six-pack abs. I don't want to totally call it a myth because it is like there are types of women for whom that's true.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, I think that story that you told illustrates something really beautiful, and true, which is what I've always found with the women that I've talked to, which is that underneath of it's like what women, in my experience, tend to really want is how it's about how a guy feels. Is he confident? Is he feel good in his body? Is he able to be present with her? Is he able to play with and delight her just through flirting,
Well, and not to put, so this guy didn't put his fat body excuse out as a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nowhere in a million years would most guys think that this guy would have attracted this kind of woman, right? Looking like that. And I think it's interesting because, I define this as 4 body types or basic body types, right? We talked about this. You got the muscular, super muscle dude that's in the gym and he's all ripped and really huge. You got the, what I call lean fitness guy, right? He's got the 6-pack, lean, long. And you've got the dad bod, which became a thing, right? A while back, the dad bod. And then you got the fat guy. And so, obviously there's things in between that. But if you take those 4 categories, you showed me something before we got on here that says, most men want to look like the big, ripped, muscular,
It's
dangerous looking guy.
it's got it's two magazine covers of Hugh Jackman, one next to the other. One is a men's magazine, one is a woman's magazine. The men's magazine is Hugh Jackman just completely shredded with his Wolverine claws, and
Like,
his muscles are just busting out of his skin. And
right.
he looks like an animal. And then the other one is Hugh Jackman in like a cardigan sweater, and he looks. They made his biceps don't look nearly as big. Maybe
No,
they
he
even
looks
photoshopped them
like,
smaller. Sometimes they,
yeah, he looks like some guy out of a GQ magazine with a slight dad bod kind of thing going on.
and I love how you said it. He's like, that's the guy you would leave your kids home alone with.
Right. Or
The
you'd have
like the nice, soft, gentle,
yeah,
and obviously there's generalizations here, but it is pretty true for a lot of men that the like essence of masculinity is being totally shredded and really tough and stuff like that. And then there is, I mean, at the very least, what women are being sold is this like nice, light, fluffy guy is the kind of guy that
right.
you want to be with, which you and I both know is not true in a lot of regards. But
Yeah. So what do women really want? Well, thousands of women questioned years later, I can tell you all of it and different parts of it. And there are fewer women. This is true. Fewer women. I am in the minority of women who like the big buff shredded guy. And I had a bodybuilding gym. I was a bodybuilder. I was around those guys. And that really did it for me. So I didn't do the dad bod guy or the guy on the other end. And in fact, lean yoga boy, ripped guy with no big muscles was kind of like, yeah, he was my version of Hugh Jackman in the sweater there, the soft
yeah, yeah,
guy. So, but I'm in the minority of women. Unless a woman is into bodybuilding and into that type of stuff, typically she doesn't want the guy on either extreme. She's kind of more in the mid zone.
yeah,
And most women are in the mid zone.
yeah. And I want to shift over to women's attractiveness and body confidence for a moment, and then bring it back around to men. What you were saying behind before we started recording this conversation is that most of the women who are the stereotypical 10 are super insecure about their
Absolutely.
looks.
So yeah, one of the other thing that I was surprised by when I started working with lots of women was that all the women that everybody considers attractive and fabulous and wonderful, like, are the most insecure women. The women in the middle zone, the kind of average woman, and sometimes the much bigger women are way more comfortable, and they're not held to the same standard. So they're not constantly pitting themselves against this impossible standard of having to look a certain way all the
Yeah.
time. And sometimes the men are the same.
Well, and here's what I was going to say is when I read into that, if what I'm out there trying to do is attract these, quote, 10 out of 10 women, and I think that what I need to be in order to get that kind of woman or be with that kind of woman is a 10 out of 10 man, we're just playing insecurities one against another.
Absolutely. And I've been that woman who typically is with a man who is way higher up. If your category is a rating, I'm the woman who dates up. And it's always been funny because I understand what it's like to be looked at like, I wonder why he's with her. She must have money. I date younger and I date hotter. And that has been a thing. And people want to know why that is, because we always think you got to be a 10 to be a 10 or this or that. It really comes down to how confident are you? How good about yourself do you feel?
Yep.
In whatever shape and form you're in?
Yep.
I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah. And what you touched upon earlier, I think, is an important and maybe fairly central question to this topic, which is, are you using your looks? Are you using your physical body as an excuse to feel at victim to the world, basically, as
Right.
an excuse for why you're not getting the kind of women that you want, or why that guy is getting the kind of woman that you want, or why this, why that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, women and men both do the same thing with this. But as a man, if you think that how you look is keeping you from something, it's probably the energy that you're portraying forward
Yep.
about that that's keeping you from that. I mean, it's not that women don't, they say men are visual. Well, we're all visual. I mean, first of all, we're all visual. It's a big thing. Do women look at men and critique them? Absolutely, if they're critiquing themselves. So if a woman is highly judgmental about herself, then she's going to be more judgmental about you. If a woman's comfortable with herself, she's going to be more comfortable with what you present too. And I think
And
probably vice versa, right?
yeah, well, and that connects to, I was telling you, um, as we're planning this conversation, that I've talked to a number of women about what are you attracted to in a man when a man walks by on a street, what catches your eye? And all of the women that I've talked to about it, they have a hard time giving me an answer. Um, they say it's just something about his energy. A woman that I dated in 2018, I had a hard time getting anything physical out of her. She's like, well, I guess I like, when I was in Mexico, I like the backs, the guys who are surfers who've got really, well-defined backs. I like that. And this was after, a few minutes of trying to get an answer out of her.
And
And I want to say that this woman was just absurdly sexually expressive. Like being with her, playing with her, sex with her was off the fucking charts.
yeah,
And she was really emotionally aware woman as well.
yeah. So I think that there are, I think more and more we're seeing women be more judgmental, critiquing, or saying, noticing, but we're also a pornified society. So, I ask women, what do you find attractive about a man? A lot of times I get their smile,
Yeah.
their eyes,
Yeah.
fair number of women, their ass, their package, that's a less, but that's there. And then I don't really always hear the six pack. I mean, when women are just casually saying, it's not that it's there, but it seems to be the man's obsession is, I got to have a six pack. And the women's thing is, yeah, I like nice. Oh, hands. That's a big thing. It's in the top.
I've heard like forearms is a thing for
Yeah,
women.
top six hands, like a man's hands. And I'm like, what about him? Well, some women like the manly hand. That's that big paw, right? Some women are into the artist hand, that delicate, long fingered hand. But it's quite interesting that hands show up a lot in what's attractive. So now, man, now I want you to look at your hands and go, oh my God, I'm insecure about my hand. Is my hand sexy? What about my hand?
When I was younger, I was insecure. I thought that my hands were too big for my body. And that was actually, I would look at my hands and feel insecure about it
That
in
was
like
the
junior
actual
high.
thing.
Yeah. I'd never heard that from any women or anything. It was just one of
Right.
those weird things that I fixated upon for a while.
So that's a great topic too. It's like, so what are you fixating on as a man
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now? Right?
Yeah. And again, just to kind of bring it back around to the essential piece of this part of the conversation is just what energy are you carrying around your body? And like there are butt ugly dudes out in the world who are getting
Did you just
far more,
say dude?
but there's some fucking ugly ass dudes, some stereotypically ugly ass dudes who own it, who have confidence. And like we've also spoken about, I've done a lot of work in men's circles around body shame, and some of the most attractive dudes in the room are like, yeah, my dick's too short. Yeah, I don't like this about me. I don't like this about me. I don't like this.
My calves.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like my calves.
And then some of the bigger guys, they have problems with their bellies and stuff like that. And some of the other dudes who are just kind of average looking are like, yeah, I like my ass. I like this part. And that energy, no matter what your body type is, that energy translates. And also what I have experienced is that if you do want to uh, eat or work your way toward a different body type, feeling like where you're at sucks is not for some people, it's a great motivator, and they're going to be like ripped and super insecure about it. But like ultimately learning how to be stoked about you and where you're at and own your confidence and be in your just relaxed masculine embodiment, that's the sexiest thing in the world. And generally that's a far more helpful place to actually create changes in your life from as well.
Yeah. Well, we tend to bring the energy that we feel about ourselves forward. And even if you don't, yeah, everybody at this point understands and believes in energy, I'm sure, but understanding that your energy hits energy before you physically do. And if you're carrying that energy cloak of, yeah, you probably don't think I'm sexy. I don't think I'm sexy. You're probably not attracted to me because I'm not attracted to me. And then you've got all that. That's exactly
Why would the kind of woman that I want to date that?
right. Right. But unabashedly feeling confident about yourself, regardless. And I've had the whole package from being 90-pound anorexic to the heaviest I've ever been where I am now. I've been all of these things throughout my life. And I can tell you, as a woman, I've had some of the hottest, best sex with men in not the perfect package when I wasn't the actual thing that stopped traffic. And I was more confident when I had let go of the obsession about how much I was eating, what I was eating, how it was going. My whole life was wrapped around just that piece. Yeah. It really didn't allow me to be very expressive either.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to be very relaxed in your body. You're not going to be connected to your pleasure and what makes Absolutely. Sex good.
Right. Right. Exactly. And what makes you be interesting to somebody else. Yeah. Is the fact that you're chill about that and you're relaxed about things. And there is no perfect, perfect for women. I know women who, when they fall in love, you become more and more attractive to them. So that's the interesting thing about women. You touch their hearts, you touch their mind. Yes, you touch their body, great. But what they do is they find you, the more you make them laugh, the safer they feel with you, the happier they feel with you, the more attractive you are. Yeah. Regardless of the other things. But I will say the majority of women, interestingly enough, are kind of into the dad bod. The latest stats we're showing, and the dad bod is the guy that's not ripped. He's got a little bit of a belly going on. He's a little bit softer. And there's that, like that magazine cover showed us, there's that kind of like women say, oh my God, I can relax a little. So here's the deal. The comparison, and I don't know if men do this either, but like, oh, okay, he's a little softer. Man, I don't have to keep my super ripped hard physique either. I can relax a little bit. So there's that more kind of relaxed to the average.
Yeah. My woman was insecure about that when we first started dating, a little bit, not hugely, but it was there.
Yeah. And so that ability, yeah, right? If you're super ripped and they're super not, like, oh, are they judging me?
Because I'm not super ripped, but I was in better shape then. I'd been training martial arts a few times a week, weights,
Right. So leaner, less fat, there's.
But still, like I had a little bit of muscle on me and I looked good.
Yeah. Yep. And so then that comparison, if we're doing that, it's like, that's kind of a waste of energy and time. Mm-hmm. So I think that, if your smile is bringing you through, when you're a man who meets a woman and your smile is like radiating your experience, she's going to be mesmerized by that way more than anything else.
Yeah. And I want to kind of put I can't find the word that I'm trying to find, but this, as you're talking about all of this thought is coming to mind that if I'm insecure about my body and I'm bringing that to a woman, basically what I'm doing is making the whole damn interaction about me. Why the fuck would a woman want to date a guy who's making it all about him? Because I'm so insecure about me, this, that, the other thing.
The opposite thing, if it's all about you. I did date a guy because I used to have mirrors in my bedroom, right? And I did date this guy who was, ripped. And not all ripped guys are admiring themselves 24/7, just so you know. But this particular guy was awesome. Like he would put himself in the best sex position where he could really like flex. Yeah. And I was laying there thinking to myself, well, so the eye candy is great, but I don't really need you inside me. I could just sit in a chair and watch you flex and get way more out of this, right? But I was like, he's looking in the mirror and he's doing that. And I'm thinking, I'd love to believe this is for me, but I really don't think so. It's an opportunity for him to
exactly
feel good. And I thought it was incredibly ridiculous. So yeah. And if the same token, if I'm having sex with a man who's insecure and he's trying to hide things and whatever, feeling weird, then it makes it weird. Same thing. We said earlier, don't be weird. It doesn't make it weird if you're not weird.
It's only weird if you make it weird.
Right. Exactly. Which I think we have to have posters about.
Yeah. So we're going to leave you with that and send you away with just a little bit of self inquiry. And what happens when you stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself? Take inventory of the different parts of your body, different places of your body. Which ones do you love? Which ones do you not love? And what's the balance there of how you hold yourself mentally, how you relate to your own body?
Absolutely. And what are the parts that you can't change, in which case you shouldn't be spending a whole lot of energy on that? And the parts you can change if you want to, then instead of just beating yourself out about it, take action to do something.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us today. Let us know any thoughts, comments, questions in the comments, and we will see you next time.
Hit subscribe.